Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I am Everardo Resendiz. People know me around here as Coach Ever. I am a certified executive and business coach at Action Coach in Northwest Louisiana. Today I have Adam Hubble with Hand Construction. We're going to be talking about the business, the journeys to handling and managing this business, best practices, maybe take a look inside and peek under the hood, as we will say, into what really is like to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. And so, Adam, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Yes,
Please
good
share with
morning.
us a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about the business.
Yeah, well, I spent about 15 years in banking prior to making the move to construction. I came into the construction industry around 2012. Came to work for a gentleman named Casey Hand, who formed Hand Construction in 1980. I came over as the CFO. One of the big projects we undertook immediately was we completed an ESOP transaction whereby the company was sold to the employees. It was a two-stage process involving two transactions. We did 55% the first go round, that would have been in 2013, and the balance in 2021. So we have allocated all of the ownership of the company to the various employees, both current and former. And it's gone great. We've helped people fund some pretty meaningful and sizable retirement accounts. And it's really increased the sense of ownership for everyone. And I think morale and everything has never been better.
All right. And so, what is your role today? Are you still CFO?
That's right. Correct. Yep.
All right. And so, when you look at your role, now that these ownership is split in all these different owners, how many owners are there?
Well, we have about 65 participants in the ESOP, and that's comprised of current and former employees. So we've had 20 or so retirees that are no longer in the day-to-day activity employed by the company, but they still have beneficial ownership by way of stock in the company. Some of that stock is on its way out, being purchased out. It's a phased process. It's bought back by the company over 5 years. So some of them are half in, half out, but total is 62 participants in the plan. Full-time employees, we range, depends on what's going on, but 35 to 45.
Wow. And so, with this sort of structure, how do you make decisions as a company? How do you choose the strategy to pursue?
So the ESOP brought about many changes. One of them was the operational side of it was not greatly impacted. The administrative side more so. But the choices made from leadership mirror those that we did before the ESOP. We want to have repeat business. We want happy customers that'll come back and let us build something else for them and just keep it moving.
All right. Give me 1 second, please.
I'm staying ready. I'm not moving.
All right. So, your role, what do you do for hand construction at this point?
So I'm the CFO. I handle all the accounting, all the financial aspects of the company. I'm also involved on the executive management team, whereby we kind of hone in on what our target customers are going to be, what projects we want to go after, how we want to price them, and how that fits into our overall plan. Being an ESOP, we have what's called repurchase liabilities that extend way out into the future. So we have to try and smooth out our revenue as much as possible.
Of course you do.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And so how many hours do you spend working on what you do daily, right? You're in the business sort of things. How
Yeah,
much are
so
you on the other part, the strategy, the management of it?
right. So in the business portion, we have made a tremendous leap in the past 3 or 4 years by installing a new ERP, which has freed up a lot of time. We've been able to automate a bunch of our process, really cut down the hours at the screen doing the administrative accounting and financial work. Prior to that, it was it took its toll for sure. It was a lot. We've cut that down to where that's 20 to 25 hours a week, and I can spend the balance of it, which is about another 20, 25 hours a week, kind of on the working on the business, the forward looking, the customer development, business development, the marketing, and how we place our company in the industry.
Love it. Okay. So let's move on to what makes your business so special. Like who primarily your business does serve. If I were the audience, how will I know that I was a good fit for your services?
Yeah, so this company was formed in 1980 here in Shreveport and has been operated and headquartered in Shreveport ever since. So, to survive for 40 plus years, you definitely have to fish outside of the market, right? So in doing so, we've developed the ability to do medical projects, medical renovation work very well. We're very astute at how to properly sequence the medical work as to not interrupt any ongoing operations of a hospital or medical facility. So that's kind of been our bailiwick for the past couple of decades for sure. When the market allows, we did do a sizable amount of multifamily work and multifamily development. That takes us a little further from home than we really like to be. It's taken us as far as Williston, North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
Which is, yeah, very far. I'm not going to say we wouldn't do it again, but we probably wouldn't do it again. And it would take us, out into Texas, Alabama, Arkansas, South Louisiana, stuff like that on the multifamily side. With the current environment now, with interest rates and everything, there's not a ton of multifamily activity. So we're focused on our medical work, which is a sizable portion of our portfolio. And it includes some assisted living, independent living facilities, which is kind of a hybrid of your multifamily and your medical work. In addition to that, we can do any of your common commercial construction. We've built retail centers. We're renovating 2 country clubs currently. We've done some hotel renovation. So stuff in the hospitality stuff as well. So we can run the whole gamut. You kind of have to do that being out of Shreveport. We don't have the luxury of being a quote unquote specialist or having a single niche. But if we had to pick one of our favorite customers or customer industries, it'd definitely be the medical side.
Very good. And so what makes your business unique? Like why do your customers choose you over other people?
Well, yeah. So, over 44 years, we have served the same customers repeatedly a lot of times. So I think something that sets us apart, Coach, is our attention to detail on the medical side, especially on the sequencing. We understand that anytime we rob them of production, anytime their facilities aren't operating at 100%, that should be considered a construction cost. And we aim to minimize all that. And we were able to do so. We have some of the best project managers in the business on the medical side and the superintendents that have more experience than anyone else in the market. So our value add in that is we can perform the construction part, which many people can. We probably do it a little better because of the repetitions we've had. But we can do it in such a way that it does not impact, interrupt, or disrupt their revenue cycle.
So that tells me a couple of things. One is that there's these how will I call it speciality that you have developed working with existing facilities and helping them upgrade and add on and all these things where you're trying to not rob them of their ability to operate, right?
Right.
What about new building, completely new facilities?
Right. We haven't been fortunate enough to build a brand new whole hospital. A lot of that's a function of geography and where we are. There haven't been new hospitals in Shreveport for a while. We've been very involved in the numerous additions to all the Christus facilities and the Ochsner facilities. We've built small specialty hospitals like the Surgery Center in Bossier, and then the micro hospital up on Viking Drive in Bossier. And they are indeed hospitals, but not what you're referring to. They're not the Christus Island as big as a mall with the coffee shop stuff. Right. But they'll have 5 to 7 exam rooms, a couple procedure rooms, and 1 or 2 overnight rooms, and they're fully outfitted with the MRI capacities, PET scans, and stuff like that, and obviously operating facilities. But you're talking about something that could be 25 to 30,000 square foot versus your Highland campus, something like that, which is commonly thought of when you say hospitals that are 200,000 square feet.
Right, or bigger.
Or yeah, the small ones, the ones we have. Yeah, yeah.
All right. And so, how do your competitors compare against you?
So we kind of earned and wear the badge of the local medical professional. We do have some of our commercial contracting competitors that participate in that world, but we have set ourselves apart by the numerous successful projects we've had, the care we take in the infectious control areas, the sequencing and stuff like that. So our value add that I referenced earlier, the shorter duration of the project, the safety of the project, and the care that's given to the staff and the patients, that's our value add, and that's what sets us apart.
Awesome. Okay, so what's one thing that you wish more people knew about your business?
That we're here, that we'll travel. We're in Shreveport and we love Shreveport. It's been our home, but we would love to get a little further from home. East Texas, we're in Northeast Louisiana as well. But actually, I want to change my answer. I think the thing we would like everybody to know is we don't only do medical, and we don't only do huge projects. Those big projects are fun, they're successful, and they feel good when they're done, and it just has a lot of pizzazz to them. But it's like we're glossed over on the call for the smaller renovation, the $1 million job, $2 million job, because there's some erroneous thought out there that project would be too small for us, which is not the case.
Okay. All right. Well, that leads me to marketing, which is something that is vital for every business and often an area that many businesses struggle with. Like there's, lack of clarity around how to promote, how to
Right.
let people know about the things that we do. And so I'm always curious of what successful businesses are doing. Like what strategies do you pursue, or is there a budget for marketing, and how do you track the performance of marketing?
So we're trying to crack that code too, Coach. We really are. As far as the commercial stuff, it's just word of mouth and reputation that gets it. On the medical stuff, we stay engaged with all the administrators. It's such a capital intensive industry, the medical industry is, that a lot of the planning for these projects starts taking shape years in advance. So we have historically been a sounding board and a resource for some of these facility agents and some of the people on the executive leadership team that says, we need a new surgical wing. How do we get there? How much is this going to cost? Where can it go? So if we can get involved early and help with the constructability of a project, that's our best marketing.
All right. And so, other than the word of mouth, how do you go out and pursue these?
On the medical projects?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, the medical stuff, we're already working with Ochsner on multiple projects that won't get into their budget for 2 more years.
Right.
So the way we get involved and stay involved is providing good service to them, being responsive, not saying, no, you can't do that, saying you can do that this way, but here's your challenges.
It's not how can I, it's not can I, it's how can I.
Right. And we're very careful to answer the questions that are asked and then give our opinion. So if we're asked about the feasibility of building this, make something up, a sterile processing plant adjacent to an existing hospital, right? We'll answer the question. We'll say, this is what you'd have to do. These are the likely costs. An alternative would be, you have this old building, this old mechanical room, something over here. This can be retrofitted. You won't have to add an elevator. It could save you X million dollars and can be completed in 6 months. But we're always careful to answer the question that's asked, provide the input to the question they want to know before interjecting our own opinion.
All right. Very good. And so what approach have you taken to tracking the opportunity if they take that long? So how do you make sure you stay on top of
Yeah,
all of these?
we being me and the rest of the management team, we meet weekly, and we have a list of what we're tracking, what we're working, who's involved, and everybody can interject their opinion and try and add some value along the way. But the simple answer to your question is we routinely meet, and sometimes there's no new news, but we stay in the habit of meeting weekly to discuss all the pipeline.
Awesome, awesome. And so we spent a bunch of time focusing on business and sharing some of those best practice things that you do well. Um, I'd love to stick back a little bit and dive into your journey a little bit more. Okay. So you come in as CFO for this company, but you come from the banking industry, right? So what was that transition like for you?
It was a little weird. Banking was writing memos and participating in conference calls. So being able to get out and produce tangible results, physical results that you could see, was a big blessing that I enjoyed a lot. The adaptation to it was different. You deal a lot more, believe it or not, it's a lot less customer facing interactions because you have teams of, not just your people, but you can have teams of 100 people on a job site completing something. So the biggest adaptation would have been staying positive and trying to lead the charge forward to completion.
Awesome. Okay. And so looking at your journey, what's been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you were challenged with and you were forced to overcome?
Okay, that would definitely be when we implemented the new ERP system. And it's not a slight to the system, it's not a slight to the product, but it was a massive undertaking. We implemented a big one called CMIC. It's a great product and it's widely used throughout the construction industry. And we were coming from one that was way, way, way inferior. So getting our old data into the new system and maintaining the integrity of that data while trying to learn and operate the new system for ongoing operations was a huge challenge. But through that challenge, myself and a bunch of the guys here learned a tremendous amount about how to use the system, how to properly make the corrections you need to make, minimizing the workarounds, and learning the true steps of the system.
So the difficulty really was getting used to using the new system or
So
trying to do things the old ways and figuring out they don't work that way anymore.
both of those are right. So in the process, we had to retrain everybody how to use a new system, which was a completely foreign entity to them. Because like I said, we were using a very archaic system. So while trying to, do the proper hand holding and kind of ease the change, little change management there, we also had to backfill or backload all the data. And we had to work through all the kinks of doing that, as well as user training, as well as your normal job duties.
Very good. Very good. And so um having gone through these, right, through these challenge and overcoming it, right? Um what's your learning? What's your lesson? What would you do the next time something like this happens?
Uh, just be prepared. Like Jameis Winston said, just be prepared. Going through that whole process, there was a lot of frustration, but we had to be mindful. We had to remind people this is an investment. You're going to invest these extra hours this week, and you're going to save 2 hours a week for the rest of your life, your rest of your career.
Right.
So I think expectation management might be the biggest change we've made. We were sold a bill of goods on it takes this many months and it's this easy, that easy. And it truly wasn't. And looking back and talking to other people that went through the same thing, we all had same experiences. So the biggest lesson learned was brace yourself for a little bit more downtime, a little bit more hard work than they say.
Yeah, listen, I mean, doing what I do, I have been witness to many system implementations, right?
Yeah.
And there's these this aversion. Okay, people are used to doing things a certain way, having to relearn doing the job that they have been doing all this time. It's very tough.
Yeah, Coach, I agree with that. And then, if you had to distill it down to just a couple sentences, the biggest thing that kind of came to surface is when we were doing all the changeover and the rework stuff. I'd ask a question of some of the people that have been here a long time. Why did you do it that way? Why'd you put that in that account or charge it to this? And the answer was because that's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
So we took that opportunity to really kind of say, we do it this way because, and give the actual, the data, the behind the scenes reason for the action. And I think that was the biggest learning experience out of the whole thing.
Very good. Very good. So let's move forward and look at what comes next, right? Where do you see your business in the next 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years, we have a lot of big projects in the pipeline that we're working. So I'm very confident that we'll be successful in those, and hopefully that will provide a launch pad into similar bigger projects outside our geography. Some of the projects we're looking at now involve companies that operate, I'd say they're larger regional companies that could bring us out of Shreveport and in addition to Shreveport. We'll never leave Shreveport, but it'll provide a launch pad to maybe hang up a shingle in a new market. We haven't targeted that.
What market will that be? What market do you want to go to?
We don't know exactly. I mean, everybody's looking at Texas, that's always a good one, but there's also stuff on the Southeast coast, Florida Panhandle, stuff like that, there's a lot of work down there going on.
Yeah. I recently had the opportunity to drive through Austin, downtown Austin, and I don't recommend it. It's not a good trip.
No.
The amount of development going on in that area is it's incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. And where we would like to operate is 30 miles, 40 miles outside of that. Not necessarily a tertiary market, but when you get inside of the city, those are very low margin jobs with a bunch of new subs. And to break into a new market, it's, you're going to have to price it appropriately and price it thin. And what we've learned about a bunch of the subs that go to these hot markets, they're not very loyal. They're not going to man the job. They're going to jump across the street for a few extra bucks. And it provides a little bit more business risk than we're willing to stomach. So we'd like to be, 50, 60 miles outside of Austin, which there's still a ton of activity. But that would be more our target market than inside downtown Austin.
I got you. Okay. So what has been your approach to goal setting? Like how many goals do you set at a time? How do you document them? What's the time frame for them?
So my personal approach, I like the big, hairy, audacious goals, big ones.
You like the bag?
Yeah, with milestones. I think everything's more achievable in bite-sized chunks. So if you have a 5-year goal of being 10x, I think you say that's your stated goal, but your other goal is, and I'm making these up, but in 2 years you want to be 4x or 5x. So I like big goals, but with digestible pieces with milestones. And I think those milestones also let you rechart the path to the bigger goal, or gives you an opportunity to kind of reevaluate the inputs that you've applied, the results you've gotten from it, and see what changes you need to make the next step to achieve that big goal.
Outstanding. Okay. And so when thinking of the future of your business, I feel it's always important to address the topic of your team, right? Are there many leaders developing in your team?
Yes.
What has been your approach to actually developing that talent?
Empowering them, giving them the ability to make that decision, to make multiple decisions. In the field, we have multiple younger project managers. So the answer there is you give them the autonomy to make some own decisions. You don't leave them stranded. You encourage them to ask for help, but you encourage them to kind of steer their own ship.
Very good. Well, that's what makes great project managers, right? The ones that have the full responsibility of it, and they also have the authority to make decisions.
Right, right.
Having to go through that and making mistakes and having to correct them, that's just part of that workforce. Okay. And
It's the best
so,
teacher.
how do you hire and retain your people?
Okay, yeah. In Shreveport, that has been a challenge. We've been hiring younger and younger. We want to get to the point to where we do not, I'm using project manager just as an example. We want to get to a point to where we don't hire new project managers. We promote the junior project managers that we've been developing. And we have a good pipeline of young people now. And at the upper end of it, we have some senior people. They're very laddered. We're not going to have a day to where 5 old people are gone and replaced by 5 young people. So they'll be falling off and replaced. So I think that system is going to be great, because these old guys have done it 1,000 times. They know how to do it, but they're a little change adverse. They don't like using some of the newer technology that we have found to be very beneficial, both in the way of documentation, communication, and stuff like that. So I think we're set up for huge success by getting the industry knowledge from some of these more senior fellas embedded into the younger guys that are more tech savvy and more willing to become more tech savvy.
Right. And so, the challenge always with trying to bring that talent from the bottom up
Right.
is to actually have them stay with you.
That's right.
So,
So
how do
yeah,
you make sure that happens?
yeah, so employee retention is a huge thing in our industry. There's only a couple ways to do construction. There's not a million ways, but there's a million ways to document. There's a million ways to sequence a project to your internal standards and your internal operations. So employee retention is huge, because you don't want to relick the calf all the time. So the ESOP that's in place that I referenced earlier has been a great retention tool. People build equity, and people build these qualified retirement accounts by staying aboard. And now that we are, we're 12 years old on the ESOP, 11 years old on the ESOP, people are getting paid out, right? They're getting actual checks. So it's no longer this abstract idea of, well, I get this statement and I have this money. People are getting hard money, hard checks. And once that started happening, I think it glued some people to the seat a little bit more.
That is very interesting. It's the first time I hear about this, as a retention, but it makes absolute sense.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And so we covered a lot of ground in this conversation. And for those people who are watching, I highly encourage you to save these and come back for an additional watch. There's a lot of great nuggets here and there. And so as we begin to wrap up, I have a few rapid fire questions, Adam. Quick top of head answers for each. I may need to elaborate on some of these, but let's get going. You ready?
Yep. Rapid fire.
What is the key to success to you?
Hard work.
What is one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Listen to your people.
What is one book you're reading now or have read more recently that has had an impact with you?
The mortality key.
The mortality key, you said?
Yeah, the mortality key.
Tell me a little bit about it, please.
Well, I'm only a couple chapters in, but it's very exciting. It's basically the search for the fountain of youth is what it comes down to. It's a historical deal. I'll have to send you the author. I've enjoyed it a lot.
All right. So you recommend it?
So far, I'm only a couple chapters in.
All right. If you had to choose one area of your business that you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would that be?
More precise advertising and marketing, making sure we get the right eyes on what we're trying to get out there.
All right. And so before we get into the final question of the day, how can other people learn more about you and your company? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website, handconstruction.com, has a lot of company information on there, historical and current, has information on all of the management team. And our company brochure is also available for viewing, download, and sending to a friend from that website.
Very good. And so what's most inspiring for you today?
It's not raining yet.
Well, for those people who don't know, of course, we're recording these after a night of storms, and so it's been a very iffy morning for most people in the area. Thank you, Adam. I really appreciate you joining us today and sharing some of these knowledge with the audience. Um, thank you to the audience who've been watching, and you might never know who you actually made. You got them to get inspired by what you said today, and they may be acting on it. So make it a great day, and until next time.